You stand there, shivering in your thin coat in the middle of Vienna's winter in 1846. Snow falls white on the dome of the General Hospital, praised as the cathedral of European medicine. You have just received your medical degree, your chest swelling with vitality and a desire to serve. But the moment you step through the heavy iron gates to start your job at the maternity ward, your illusion shatters. What welcomes you is not the cry of newborn babies, but the overwhelming stench of necrotic flesh mixed with the smell of blood. You see pregnant women kneeling at the foot of the stairs, tears streaming down their faces, clutching the doctor's robes and begging, "Please, let me go to Ward 2. Don't make me go into Ward 1. Going in there means death." You are stunned. You don't understand. Why do they fear the care of elite doctors and students like you in Ward 1, yet yearn to be delivered by uneducated midwives in Ward 2? That night, under the flickering oil lamp, you flip through the hospital's death register. The cold numbers dance before your eyes, a slap in the face to a young doctor's pride. It is an insane paradox. The hospital is divided into two clinics right next to each other, sharing the same water source, the same diet, and laundry. Room 2 is run by midwives and everything there is peaceful. Mothers give birth and go home healthy with the mortality rate only hovering around 3 to 4%. But Room 1, run by doctors and medical students like you, it's a total slaughterhouse. The mortality rate skyrockets to nearly 30%, meaning for every 10 women who enter, 3 are carried out in coffins. You tear at your hair, pacing back and forth in the duty room. Why? Why is there such a terrible discrepancy when both sides apply the same delivery methods, the same standard medical procedures of the time? You run to find the professors, asking them for the cause. They just shrug, take a puff of their pipes and speak empty words. It's due to miasma from the earth. It's due to women's fear, or more cruelly, it is God's will. You refuse to accept that. Every night the bell of the old priest walking along the corridor to administer last rites to the dying rings out. That bell is like a drill boring into your brain. You count the bell ringing 5 times, 10 times each night. You rush into the ward, grasping the cold hands of dying women. They look at you with reproachful eyes before breathing their last. You frantically compare. Why, in Ward 2 right next door, where only uneducated midwives work, are mothers and babies safe and sound? Why is there more laughter than crying there? You sneak over to observe. You see them doing everything very simply, without machines, without the advanced techniques you learned. Helplessness makes you want to scream. You feel you are not an angel in white, but an incompetent man watching death snatch away each life right from your hands. Your daily work begins at the morgue. Every morning, you and the interns gather around the cold bodies of the unfortunate mothers. You hold the scalpel, cutting open their chests and abdomens to search for the cause of death. You plunge your bare hands into rotting, festering internal organs. Black blood and yellow fluids stick to your hands, to your sleeves. Once done, you only wipe your hands briefly on a dirty apron, or wash them perfunctorily in a small basin of water. You smell the distinctive stench of corpses clinging to your skin. But in those days, doctors considered that pungent smell the scent of professionalism, a medal of hard work. Immediately after carrying that smell of death, you stride into the delivery room. You use those very hands that just dug through corpses to examine mothers in labor, to deliver newborn babies. The mystery continues until some time later. Your most respected teacher passes away. During an autopsy, his finger was accidentally cut by a student's scalpel. The wound was tiny, but death came very quickly. You stay by his bedside, wiping sweat from his forehead. You are horrified to recognize his symptoms: high fever, delirium, pockets of infection spreading throughout his body. It is exactly the same as the death of those mothers. In that moment, you stand frozen in the middle of the ward. You hold your hands up in front of your face, staring at them. It's not miasma. It's not God's will. It is you. You and your colleagues have carried invisible particles of death from the morgue, stuck to these fingers, and implanted them straight into the injured bodies of the mothers. The midwives in Ward 2 never perform autopsies, so their hands are clean and their patients live. But you used your life-saving hands to spread death. Guilt hits you like a tsunami, drowning you. You want to vomit, suffering. But the conscience of a doctor does not allow you to collapse. You must wash away this sin. You rush into the laboratory like a madman. You scrub your hands with soap until they bleed, but the stench of death still lingers somewhere, haunting like a curse. You try chemical after chemical. Finally, you find chlorinated lime. When you dip your hands into the pungent solution, your skin burns and cracks. But when you wash it off, the smell of death is gone. Your hands are truly clean for the first time. The next morning, you stand blocking the entrance to the delivery room, placing a basin of lime water there. You look straight into the eyes of the old professors, the arrogant students. You speak clearly, your voice full of determination. Everyone must wash their hands. You must scrub with lime water until the smell of death is gone before touching a patient. They look at you like you're a freak. They grumble, but you don't care. You stand there supervising each person like a strict prison guard. And then, the miracle happens. In the first month, the number of deaths drops sharply. By the second month, the ward is free of the shadow of death. The mortality rate falls straight down from a horrific 30% to just 1%. The pre-spell rings less often, then stops altogether. Mothers hug their babies leaving the hospital, smiling at you. You cry. You cry alone in the duty room at night. You were right. You saved them. You take that result to a medical conference, your heart full of hope. You think they will listen, will change. But you were wrong. The arrogance of the upper class is greater than human life. What are you saying? An old professor slams the table, shouting in your face. You dare say the hands of gentlemen doctors are filthy? You say we are murderers? Preposterous. Disease is caused by the atmosphere, by the Constitution, not by our hands. They feel insulted. They mock you as ignorant, delusional. They isolate you. Finally, they fire you from the Vienna General Hospital, stripping you of your right to save lives. You return to your hometown in Budapest, carrying a resentment that pierces the sky. You see women continuing to die in other hospitals because doctors refuse to wash their hands. You cannot sit still. You write letters. You write hundreds of letters sent all over Europe. Your words become increasingly harsh, desperate. I declare you are murderers if you do not wash your hands. You write the trembling words on paper. People throw your letters in the trash. They laugh at you. You start wandering the streets, your hair disheveled, clothes untidy. You stop young couples grabbing the husband's hand and shouting, "Don't let the doctor touch your wife if he hasn't washed his hands. He will kill her." Everyone looks at you with fear. They call you a madman. Your wife cries, begging you to give up. Friends turn their backs. You are completely alone in this battle to protect the truth. Suffering gnaws at your mind, turning you from a polite doctor into a gloomy man. Years later, an old colleague comes to find you, promising to take you to visit a new sanitarium where people are ready to listen to your theory. You go immediately. In your heart, the flame of hope to save lives has never been extinguished. You step into the carriage, full of excitement. But when the carriage stops, you realize it is not a hospital. It is a building with high walls, iron doors, echoing with wild screams. It is an insane asylum. You turn to look at your colleague, but he has backed away. Two huge orderlies rush at you. You struggle. You scream, "I'm not crazy. I am a doctor. I just want you to wash your hands. Why won't anyone understand?" They don't listen. They pin you down on the cold stone floor. You resist fiercely, trying to escape to get back to your research. In the chaotic struggle, the punches and kicks of the guards rain down on you. A dry crack. Your right finger is crushed by a baton. Blood gushes out. You faint from the pain. When you wake up, you find yourself lying in a dark, foul-smelling cell, hands and feet bound in a straitjacket. The wound on your hand is not bandaged, covered in dirt and the filthy straw of the prison. The days that follow are hell. They beat you every time you open your mouth to speak about bacteria or washing hands. You lie curled up in the corner, watching the wound on your hand begin to swell, turning purple-black. The fever comes. Bacteria, the invisible enemy you spent your life fighting, have now invaded your blood through the very wound caused by humans. You lie delirious on the cold ground. Your whole body convulses, hot as a coal. Pain radiates from your arm to your heart to your lungs. This symptom, you know it too well. It is exactly the same as the death of your friend years ago. Exactly the same as the death of thousands of mothers you once stood helplessly watching. You are dying of sepsis. In your dying moments, you look at your necrotic hands. You laugh, a hoarse, bitter laugh. You found a way to prevent infection, but now, you yourself are dying of it in the filthiest, loneliest place. No lime water, no disinfection, only ignorance and cruelty surround you. After 2 weeks of enduring terrible torture, you breathe your last breath. You die like an abandoned animal, nameless, with no one to mourn you. Many years later, people proved the existence of bacteria, and they were shocked to remember you. They bowed their heads in apology before your spirit. But it was all too late. You were no longer there to hear. You used your entire life, honor, and finally, your own life to exchange for a simple truth. Clean hands save lives. You are gone, but many lives later were saved thanks to your silent and painful sacrifice.